The agenda that we are going to discuss today is about a function which maps strings of one alphabet to strings of another alphabet. So today we are not going to discuss about any formal language representations, but we will be looking at mathematical functions taking input as strings and giving output as strings in another alphabet set. And the class of functions that we are going to see today are called homomorphisms. As I said, a homomorphism is a function mapping strings of one alphabet set to the strings of other alphabet set. Example, let sigma be an alphabet set of three simples A, B and C, and gamma be this binary alphabet set. Then you can consider an example homomorphism, which is a function defined as follows. The homomorphic image of ABAB is defined as this binary string. How is it defined is a different question. The homomorphic image of ABAB is this binary string. And suppose you have got this image as well. The homomorphic image of BAC is this binary string, and the homomorphic image of Baba is this. So basically, a homomorphism H is a function mapping strings from one alphabet set to strings in other alphabet set. This is the example given. ABAB is mapped to this binary string, BAC is mapped to this string, and Baba is mapped to this binary string. So basically, homomorphism is a mathematical function mapping strings of one alphabet set to strings of other alphabet set. Now we can look at the formal definition of homomorphism. It is a function mapping strings of one alphabet set to strings of other alphabet set, satisfying the following condition. And what is the condition? For all the strings x and y in the domain of the function, homomorphic image of x concatenated with y must be same as the homomorphic image of x concatenated with homomorphic image of y. So you can individually apply the homomorphism and then concatenate. So this is the property that a function should satisfy to become a homomorphism. And from this property we can easily observe that the homomorphic image of null string must be null string. You may wonder why this property tells us. For example, or we can not an example, sorry, we can say if you want to look at the length of the string homomorphic image of epsilon, that is epsilon is taken from sigma star, then what is the string in gamma star to which epsilon is mapped? Okay, and not that regardless of the alphabet sets, epsilon is the null string in both the alphabet set. So I am claiming that the null string of the first alphabet set must be mapped to the null string of the second alphabet set for any homomorphism. Why? If you look at the length of the homomorphic image of epsilon, you can write it as it is nothing but the homomorphic image of epsilon concatenated with epsilon. Why? Because we know that epsilon concatenated with epsilon is nothing but epsilon. So I can easily say, so this is nothing but this argument. Now from the above property you can say that homomorphic image of epsilon concatenated with epsilon by this property is homomorphic image of epsilon concatenated with homomorphic image of epsilon. So from the above condition, and if this is the case, then we know that the length is nothing but the length of the first homomorphic image plus length of the second homomorphic image. Since for any strings x and y, the length of the concatenation of x and y is nothing but length of x plus length of y by definition of concatenation. And now we have done all the hard part, and easily observe now that epsilon is the only possible solution or value for homomorphic image of epsilon satisfying this equation. That is, the length of the homomorphic image of epsilon is equal to length of the homomorphic image of epsilon plus length of the homomorphic image of epsilon. This equation is satisfiable only for a single value of homomorphic image of epsilon, which is the null string itself, because when it is null string, the LHS becomes 0 and the RHS becomes 0 plus 0. So epsilon is the only possible image for epsilon under the homomorphism H, regardless of what the definition of H is. I hope you are getting me. So the only property that a homomorphism should satisfy is this: the homomorphic image of the concatenation of xy must be same as the concatenation of homomorphic image of h, x and homomorphic image of y. And from this property it is derived that homomorphic image of epsilon must be epsilon. Now we can see that a homomorphism H can be completely captured or defined by its definition on sigma. So what does it mean? It is enough to look at what is h of A, what is h of B and what is h of C to see what is h on any string on sigma. This example will make it very clear. We have sigma as this set and gamma as binary alphabet set. Now you consider the homomorphism where h of A is 0 0, h of B is 0 1 and h of C is 1 0. Then we can find what is h of ABCB. From the property of homomorphism, it is nothing but homomorphic image of A concatenated with homomorphic image of B, concatenated with homomorphic image of C, concatenated with homomorphic image of B, and all these are directly given. So if you substitute, you will get the value. So that is why I said to define this homomorphism completely, you don't have to worry about the definition of H on strings. You just have to see what is H of A, what is H of B and what is H of C. That is enough, because if you look at a string, it is a sequence of simples, then you can find the value of homomorphic image individually on each simple and then just concatenate. That is what I mean when I say a homomorphism H can be completely captured by its definition on sigma A, B and C. Okay, that's it. So this is what we said. From this property, it follows that the homomorphic image of this string is concatenation of homomorphic image of H1, homomorphic image of A2, sorry, A1, A2, etc. Thus, to define the homomorphism H, it is enough to define H on the alphabet set sigma. That is what values it takes on the alphabet set. For For example, here h of A, h of B and h of C defined means h is defined over the entire set sigma star. Now, let us see what is homomorphic inverse. It is just the function inverse, nothing else. It is the opposite mapping is what is called inverse. Let H be a homomorphism and A be a subset of string. Then we are looking at the homomorphic image of A. It is nothing but the homomorphism applied on each string in A. That's it. For example, if you have homomorphism or homomorphic image of AB as this, BAC as this, and BA as this, then the homomorphic image on these three strings, the set of these three strings, for example, capital A is here, in this is these three strings, then its image is the union of these three strings. That's it. Okay, individually you apply and take all such images, and that's it. And now we can define the inverse. Suppose H is a homomorphism from sigma star to gamma star, and B is a subset of gamma star, that is B is a string in the codomain. Then its inverse homomorphism H inverse from gamma star to sigma star is defined as follows. H inverse B on any subset of gamma star B, H inverse of B is the set of all strings X in sigma star such that H of X is an element of B. That is, in this case, this is the set H of X, then its pre-image is this, telling if H of AB is this, then H inverse of this binary string is AB. That is what I wanted to tell. So you can say that H inverse of this set is exactly this set. Okay, so it is simply the inverse mapping. To make it simple, suppose you have a homomorphism H from sigma star to gamma star, then H inverse is just the opposite mapping. If AB by H is mapping to this, then H inverse is mapping this back to this, and that's it. So that is homomorphic inverse. And now we will see two important properties of homomorphism. And before we look at that property, let us see what is a homomorphic image of a language. Let H be a homomorphism and L be a language over the domain alphabet set defined as follows. So sigma is set AB, gamma is just set 0, only one element, and this is the homomorphism defined. H of A is 0 and H of B is 0. Both are mapped to 0. And not that, definition of homomorphism is complete if you know it for the individual simples, right? Now the language is this. The language over sigma star is this, the set of all strings over AB with even length strings. Now we can look at homomorphic image of some strings in the language. This is a string in the language because of even length. Then what is H of BA? It can be easily found that it is nothing but 0, 0, 0, 0, because H of A is 0, H of B is 0, then this must be 0, 0, 0, 0. This can be written as 0 to the power 4, 4 zeros. Another example, if you look at this string in the language, length is even, so in the language you can find it as 0 square, the image as 0 square. Another example, if you look at this string B, you will find the homomorphic image as 0 raised to 4, same as this. In general, you can see that for any string in the language, we have the homomorphic image as 0 to the power length of x. Each case, that is what we are getting, because every simple is mapped to 0. So, the homomorphic image is nothing but that number of zeros, that is it. And with this we can see that the homomorphic image of language is what? H of L. The set of all even length string is the original language. So, the homomorphic image is 0 to the power 2n, where n is greater than or equal to 0. This is a representation for all even length zeros. N can be 0, then you will get 0 to the power 0s. Sorry, n should be greater than or equal to 1. I am very sorry for the typing mistake. N should be greater than or equal to 1, because otherwise you will get an odd length which is just 0 raised to 1. Sorry, 0 raised to 0, which is 1. Now, this is the set of two properties that we are going to see. First claim, if H is a homomorphism and A is a set of strings in sigma which is regular. Suppose you are looking at a regular language on sigma, then we are claiming that the homomorphic image of A, which is a set of strings in gamma star, is also regular. That is, we are claiming that the homomorphic image of a regular language is also regular. So, I will give you a proof sketch, just an outline, not the complete proof. A is a regular language, then without loss of generality, assume that alpha b, or regular expression over sigma representing the regular set A. No doubt, if A is regular, you will get a regular expression. Let alpha be that regular expression. Then alpha prime, which is obtained from alpha by replacing each simple A in alpha with homomorphic image of A, will generate the homomorphic image of the language. Please don't get confused. Example will make it clear. Now, for example, consider a homomorphism from AB star to 0 star, and is defined as H of A is equal to H of B is equal to 0. For both A and B, the homomorphic image is 0. And A is the previous language, even length strings. Then, if you look at this regular expression, you can see that this regular expression is generating the set of all even length strings over AB. Even length means you can actually divide the string into a sequence of pairs, sequence of two simples, and each two simples can be any of these four simples. Okay, and so this is a correct regular expression generating this language. So, what we are telling now is that if you substitute H of A for each A here, that is H of A is 0, H of A is 0, H of A is 0, H of B is 0. If you do that, what you are getting? It is 0 0 plus 0 0 plus 0 0 plus 0 0, the whole star, which is nothing but 0 0 star, which actually generates what? H of A, that is the homomorphic image of this language, which is what B obtained as the homomorphic image of this language in the previous slide. So, this is what I was trying to tell as the proof outline. So, with this we are concluding that the homomorphic image of a regular language is also a regular language. And before we stop today, let us see one more result, which is just the opposite. If H is a homomorphism, then if you look at a set of strings in the codomain gamma star, which is regular, then you can see that the inverse homomorphism of B is also regular. Okay. So you are saying that if you look at a regular language on gamma, then its inverse homomorphism must also be regular. We can have a proof outline. So given that B is regular, that means there exists a DFA for B. That is what I am taking now. B is regular means I am assuming without loss of generality a DFA. Then we can construct a DFA A prime. This should be A prime. Sorry for the typing mistake. A prime over this alphabet set for the language H inverse of B. If you can construct a DFA for H inverse of B, then for sure H inverse of B is regular. That is what we wanted to prove. Now you see that in the new DFA A prime, it should be A prime. It is the same set of states, same start state, same set of final states, but a different transition function. The transition function is defined as this. You know that you need it for the alphabet set sigma. For every simple small a in sigma, we need to define what is delta prime of q comma a. It is defined like this. I will explain with an example. We want to see what is delta on A from Q. And now suppose you look at the homomorphic image of A and suppose it is X. X is in the set B and hence it must be accepted by this DFA. And you see where this X is going in the DFA for B. DFA is complete, it must contain paths for each and every string. So you look at where the path for X ends from Q for X. What is X? X is the homomorphic image of X, right? So if you know that it is going to R, then you can say that the A transition is going to the state R. So from the state Q, you define the A transition to a state R if and only if the homomorphic image of A has a path going from Q to R, then you define the A transition like this. Okay, you can easily prove that. This construction will result in a DFA which precisely represent the homomorphic inverse image of B. Okay, and with this we are finishing this lecture, and I am giving you two practice problems for you to try and understand what we did today. There are two problems given. You can see them offline and try to find a solution for each of these problems. So today we have seen homomorphisms which are functions mapping strings of one alphabet set to the strings of other alphabet set, and we saw that if you look at a regular language, its homomorphic image must also be a regular language. And we have also defined the inverse homomorphism, and so that if you look at a regular language in the codomain set, then its homomorphic inverse must also be regular. And later we will be utilizing homomorphism to prove a necessary condition for regular languages called ultimate periodicity, which is a very easy tool for proving that certain languages are non-regular. So we shall discuss about a necessary condition, ultimate periodicity, which is a very easy to apply tool for proving that certain languages are non-regular. And to prove the statement of the ultimate periodicity lemma, we will be utilizing what we learned about homomorphism. In particular, the fact that homomorphism preserves regularity, meaning if you apply a homomorphism on a regular language, then the resulting language will also be regular. Thank you.